Cern Basher has been listening to Elon Musk. He's been paying a ton of attention, and he recognizes that the population needs to increase. So uh, I see, Cern, that your population there in your office is increasing,
My bot population has multiplied.
and they are holding hands. So are you hoping for, some additional increase?
That would be fantastic if that happened. Yeah. I hope though that they can multiply on a little bit larger size though.
Oh, bigger guys, bigger ones.
Yeah, these ones are a little bit on the short side.
We talked in the green room. You said one of those, somebody must have uh, uh, been persuaded to get you one out there at the new cafe.
That's correct. Yep, this bot was sent to me all the way from the Tesla diner. So yeah, I really appreciated that. That was very nice.
Well, that's very, very cool. Glad to hear that. Now, I did yesterday shower you with compliments, both
Incredible.
in person, just you and me in conversation. But then when I did a video about your writings yesterday, I showered you in compliments on the video as well. Sometimes, Cern, you just get it right.
Wow, that's the first time in my entire life, I think, Randy. I almost cried when I was watching you read my post.
So, so I'm thinking that this could possibly be influenced by your wife, who's now becoming a professional stand-up comedian. You might be feeling pressure to compete at some level.
You might think that, but actually, I help her write some of her jokes.
Right. Does she give you credit?
So that's fine. She can take all the credit for her work, but I'm there behind the scenes working with her on some of the jokes. So that's enough for me.
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't really think I need to compete with her on the stage.
You've already been a very competitive individual in your life. That's why I
Hmm.
I thought, gee whiz, this guy's somebody who does not like to lose. Not doesn't like to lose against mountains, doesn't like to lose against, I guess, other racers, etc.
Yeah, I would say that that was a big part of my life for a long time. And yes, I was very competitive. At this stage in my life, I don't really care if I lose to others.
Mm.
I still care if I don't want to lose to myself, if that makes any sense, right? I want to get the best out of myself.
Right, right,
So
right.
I'm competitive that way,
Mhm.
but couldn't really care less anymore if I win the race. It's
Got it.
not really that important to me anymore.
Well, I put up a little post a little while ago that kind of speaks to that. My post had to do, yeah, from time to time, there are individuals I feel on X and other places who are, I don't want to say they look down their nose. That's too strong. Look askance. That's an old-fashioned word. They look
Hmm.
askance at some of us like me who overhype the individual days in the life of Tesla or the
Hmm.
life of the markets or the life of the economy. And every day it's like, oh, this great thing happened and therefore the stock should go up, or, oh no, we had horrible sales in Europe, so the stock's down. And I think there are some who, worry about people like me, but I always bring it back to being 6 or 7. And every morning, my dad, if he could beat me to the paper, he was only interested in the front page.
Hmm.
He would hand off the home section to my mom. He would hand off the comics to my brother. But for me, I only wanted the sports section. And I wanted to know whether Stan Musial had hit, 2 for 4 or 3 for 5 or whatever. And,
Of
what,
course.
I wanted to know the stats. I wanted to know what happened last night. Even if I might have listened to the game, I wanted to know, how did that move them up in the
Hmm.
rankings? Was my favorite pitcher now number 1 in the rankings by a fraction? So I think it's in the DNA for some of us. We love to know that our team is winning. We want to know that we're making progress as yeah, and that other people love our team. And the way they show that in our world is they show it by buying Tesla products and buying Tesla stock. So Is that
Yeah.
unnatural? Is that an unnatural way to be?
No, I don't think so. And I would also say too that I now derive a lot of enjoyment from seeing others succeed, particularly if I'm experiencing that journey in some way with them, right? Either like clients of mine, for example. I'm really, really happy when my clients are successful. That makes me feel good.
Sure.
It's a really weird thing as an investment advisor because there's no real finish line, right? You've got the calendar years and somebody's portfolio might go up X%, and the next
Right.
year it might go down X%. There's no finish line. It's a really weird thing in terms of job satisfaction because you can feel great 1 minute, and then a week later, suddenly you feel like you just made the worst decisions possible. So it's success over time.
Yep.
And I think as I've gotten older, that's something for me now that is far more enjoyable than having sort of my individual success.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, yeah, I can hear that. I know, I know about myself. I think the last thing that I did competitively was I went down to a boomers boot camp
Hmm.
to work out a workout boot camp at I think it was at Santa Monica Beach. Yeah, it was Santa Monica Beach. And they would go down there once a week and work out for about an hour. And these were all people at that time. I think I was in my 60s. And so all of us were, 55, 65, somewhere in that range. And I had to quit after going 3 times because I wanted to win.
Mm.
When he said take 4 laps, around these ropes that he'd laid out on the beach, I wanted to come in first. And
Yeah.
this was not healthy, both for my body, which was not in very good shape, as well as for my mind, I think. So yeah, yeah, I'm afraid that when I get into that situation, there's no chance that I'm not going to give 100%.
Yeah. I was there too. And then actually, really not that long ago, about 15 years ago, I used to do stair climbing competitions.
Okay.
And I believe, and this is unverified and probably always will be unverified, but I believe I am the world record holder for a vertical mile stair climb.
Oh, really?
Um,
Oh.
there's this building in Cincinnati, Ohio that has 45 floors, and I have the fastest time of anybody that's ever done that event. Now, there were other vertical miles in other buildings around the world,
Right,
so I have not done an exhaustive study of the data to see if I truly am.
right, right.
But at least in my mind, I'm the world record holder for that building. And that's enough for me. So
That's
I'm
that's enough.
retired from that, knowing that I was the world record holder at one point.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's one world record as far as you know. Yeah. And
All you need.
you really don't want to do a lot of research because for now in your head, you're already there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm afraid if I, unleash grok on that analysis, I may not be so happy with the results. But
Oh,
perhaps one day when I'm feeling lucky, I'll try that.
all right. Well, now I'm wondering if I'm feeling lucky. And oh, and by the way, I should just say right now at the beginning that the reason I put that video up yesterday, that perfect video, the video might have not have been as perfect as your writing, but I did my best without interruption. Note, I didn't ever interrupt it. I never commented except at the beginning and the end because I didn't want to distract from this impeccable piece of writing. But if anybody hasn't seen that yet, you definitely should go back and check it out. I'm not going to put the card up now, wherever the card goes. I'll put it up at the end. But yeah, they should go watch that, CERN, to find out just how amazing the future is going to be. I'm going to try this weekend, believe it or not. Maybe you'll be part of it. Maybe you'd like to do a tad of research and help me with this. I want to do a video this weekend talking about the real importance of the SpaceX successful launch on Thursday. No, Thursday, whatever day it was, Tuesday.
Well, this is quite interesting, Randy, because I'm in the middle of writing a post
Oh, you are.
about this very topic. I have a kind of a interesting angle on it, I think, that I'm exploring.
Well, we need to do a video on it then. We'll have to do
Yeah.
it maybe tomorrow or Saturday, because I was going to do that anyway. So I'll do my own independent research. Maybe we can combine, take a look at our research because The science is important, and everybody's concentrating on the science. The engineering is incredible, and people are concentrating on the engineering. The real importance of the watch is for the economy and for world peace, and I mean all kinds of things. So, go ahead, you do your piece, I'll do my piece. We'll throw them at each other, and maybe we'll do a show.
It's funny how you seem to be one slide ahead of me during my slide presentations, and now you're one post ahead of me, Randy. Are you somehow spying on me? Yeah, interesting.
So I did do a little post on that this morning, and I talked about it on my show a little bit this morning, kind of as a tease for the weekend.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right, we'll have to do that show. All right, let's do this show.
Sounds good. Let's dive into the slides. We've
Okay.
got some pretty awesome ones today. So Elon is apparently quite the photographer. He stood under the Starship or under the booster and took this photo. And as I understand it, if you work at SpaceX, there's only really one guy that's allowed to, post photos of things on an ad hoc basis, and that's Elon.
Without passing it through some
Yeah,
system.
I
Yeah.
guess ultimately he's the guy that has to be passed through, or perhaps Glenn Shotwell.
Right.
Um, so this is kind of an interesting shot. Look at this rocket, and you can see the potential power of this thing.
You sure?
So here's this post standing under Starship. And what I didn't realize is that he stayed there for the launch.
There.
Yeah, because we now have these photos.
What's this?
This is the Starship taking off, and Elon was right there the
Right
whole
there
time.
watching.
So that's pretty phenomenal.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Either he was there, or perhaps he just left his iPhone there.
Maybe that's it. I
So
think
we just found another use for iPhones. We can actually probably use them as heat shields on the Starship.
there you go. Because he mentioned the other day that if you stood in the way of these engines, you would be evaporated faster than Nagasaki.
Yeah, it would be bad news.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably a pretty good way to go in terms of
Yeah. Quick speed gone.
pretty
Yeah.
quick. Yeah. And then of course, so those series of photos were amazing, just to have that view of the rockets blasting off.
Exactly.
And then of course this one was an amazing shot. It's just such a beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful piece of engineering. Um, and then of course we had some pretty amazing shots of the landing of Starship.
100%.
And so this was taken out in the Indian Ocean. And we've obtained an image, Randy, of who took this.
Okay.
So apparently they deployed Optimus in little rowboats with cameras. And then, of course, in order for this photo to be taken, there had to be another Optimus in another boat. And then, of course, there's another Optimus taking a picture. So this is quite a complicated logistics operation, Randy, to get these
Yes.
shots.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty funny that you have this because as the ship was taking off as the entire, ship and booster were taking off initially, my wife is like, "Who's taking these pictures?" You know,
Pretty amazing. Yeah. Now we have the answer.
we have the answer.
Yeah. Now, since we are already in the part of the world, let's just stay there for a minute.
Okay.
And we have some major news today. FSD has been officially introduced and launching it in Australia.
Yes.
And Sawyer didn't mention this, but also New Zealand. I added that
Ah,
bottom.
yeah.
Forgot to mention New Zealand.
Yeah.
So that now brings us to 6 countries, Randy, that have FSD supervised in operation. So the US, Canada, Mexico, China, Australia, and New Zealand.
Okay.
Okay. So what was nice about this though is Sawyer posted this. I corrected them,
Yes.
and he fixed it.
Okay, good.
Because our Australian and New Zealand Tesla friends are finally getting FSD supervised.
There you go. There you go.
Now, he seems to suffer from the preconceived notion that people are upside down in that part of the world. Of course, they feel that way about us.
I was going to say, the truth is we're upside down, right?
I think so. Yeah. I think that's pretty clear when you look at our politics. Anyway, it turns out that about 35% of the world population drives on the left side of the road.
35%.
Yeah. So a lot of the sort of English,
Yeah.
former English empire. So
Yeah.
India, Australia, New Zealand, Japan is also not part of the English empire, but Japan is a notable nation. A bunch of African nations, a few little island nations here and there.
Yeah.
And there's also an example, I think it's, if I remember correctly, Samoa switched in 2009, so fairly recently they switched sides to be on the same side as Australia and New Zealand,
I see.
right?
So it
Previously they were on the right side.
turns out you Brits were right all along, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Sweden switched in 1967 or 68 from the left to the right,
Oh, okay.
so that they were consistent with their Nordic neighbors.
Okay, all right. So, by the way, in just a few years, there will no longer be side driving.
Yeah,
We will have no steering wheel and no pedals, so you will no longer have to make two versions of the vehicle.
good point.
Yeah.
So what side of the road will FSD choose to drive on?
Yeah.
Could just be a big game of chicken out there.
A big gaming chicken.
Yeah, and it'll probably work beautifully too. Yeah. Now, we've also learned, Randy, with this new rollout of FSD in Australia and New Zealand that Tesla is going to start advertising,
We have.
right? And here's one of their ads. As I understand it, in Australia, this could be quite effective.
Is that true?
I don't know. I don't know. No. This is just a joke, I think, from Jeeves. But whatever works, right? It
That's
doesn't
right.
really,
That's right. I don't, yeah, just advertise. Yeah.
yeah. Let's get the word out there. All right. Well, that brings me to a pretty beautiful moment for me yesterday, courtesy of you. You reposted my post. You said, must read. Clearest and most compelling statement about Optimus ever. And then you went on and you produced a beautiful video. And I'm sorry for the screenshot here. I got you mid. Uh, yeah. Anyway,
Yes. Yes. Listen, you got the shirt. That's what matters.
the shirt is great. Shirt is great. So perhaps maybe you could just expand a little bit, Randy, why you thought this was so good.
Okay. So not taking anything away from it, everything that you said there has been said before,
Yeah.
probably even by me.
Yeah.
However, there's there, one of the things that any good writer is always trying to do is be as clear as possible in making their argument. In fact,
Mhm.
my professor wife, that's what she does for a living, is teach people how to be clear in making an argument. That's if you don't get anything else out of university, that would be the one thing you would hope you could get is to be able to research, to be able to choose a thesis, research the thesis statement, and then turn it into something that is persuasive and clear. And so the reason I liked it so much is because of the clarity. It was helping somebody who still doesn't get what's really going on. And believe me, I'd say it could be 98% of the population that has no clue
Yeah.
that this is coming. And to the extent they have a clue, all they're thinking about is movies they've seen where there was a robot that was pretty funny to talk to.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting because I encounter people all the time that while they may believe that robots are going to be a thing, if they get past that point, right, and they believe it's possible, they sort of, are not convinced of the idea that this is going to create multiple trillions,
Right.
100 trillions of value. They
Right.
don't understand that. It just seems crazy that you could say you're going to double the global stock market value
Right.
based on this, right? And of course that remains to be seen. But what I wanted to try to do was find a way to at least make the case in a sort of non-traditional way
Mhm.
as to why this is possible.
Right. Now, You made the one criticism I will have of the entire thing, but I think it would have made it more complicated and didn't need to be. And that is, you said that we don't usually capitalize labor. However, the very thing that we've been watching in the AI world over the last 2 months, where individuals are being offered $100 million signing bonuses, or $100 million a year, or when
Yeah.
we have athletes and artists, et cetera, who are paid X number of millions to be in a show. These are to be in a basketball star, et cetera. And those companies that have those stars definitely capitalize that labor. In fact, they in sports, they're able to write it off
Yeah.
as a depreciating asset of some kind. It's a very
Sure.
odd thing, and I think it's only in sports, but you get to write that asset off over time. So there is an analogous situation where we capitalize labor, and I think for a more sophisticated reader, that would be a whole nother article that you might write.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And there are always exceptions, right? There are always some exceptions. The other exception, and you might remember this, is something called Bowie bonds.
Bowie
This
bonds.
David Bowie
Oh, no, I don't.
in 1997 pioneered an asset-backed bond that securitized the future royalties of 25 of his albums.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
that was,
Now it's sounding familiar. Yeah.
yeah, he raised $55 million.
Okay.
So he securitized his future earnings,
Yes.
which
Yes.
essentially is kind of what we're talking about with this concept.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, there are always some exceptions, Randy, but just in general, most people do not to get to capitalize their labor. But
Right.
yes, sports figures, those teams can, and then David Bowie did.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know how well those bonds did. They had a fixed rate of 7.9% on a term of 10 years.
Hmm.
And it said that he used the lump sum to buy music rights from his former manager,
Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah.
regaining ownership of his intellectual property. Yeah.
Now, the other analogy that we could look at would be the analogy of any kind of tool that automates or makes superhuman uh, uh, capabilities.
Well,
And for that, which is going to be one of the themes of our book, you start with fire or the wheel or anything you can think of that humans have invented or have harnessed in order to make themselves superhuman.
yeah.
We've always been attempting to leverage what's around us in order to gain some kind of optimization of our lives, optimization of the world around us. So AI is nothing more than a continuation of that idea. The 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 Optimus or the humanoids are really just extremely sophisticated automation tools, no
Hmm.
different than an assembly line or a moving assembly line. A conveyor belt that's bringing the product along makes you faster as an employee doing whatever that job is. So so to that extent, we have been capitalizing those kinds of factories as you pointed out in the article, we do capitalize factories, we do capitalize tools, uh, and so to a certain extent, the humanoids will be similar to that,
Hmm.
but on a much, 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 much bigger level.
Yeah, it's at a grand scale. Now, the interesting thing is we have a beautiful example of another thing being capitalized by another company right now. And that company just reported its results last night, NVIDIA.
Yeah, yeah,
NVIDIA is essentially capitalizing intelligence,
yes,
another way to think about what they're doing.
100%.
All right, and I wrote a short post about this morning, but here's NVIDIA's quarterly revenues, right? So this is the company making gaming chips. Here is them having a nice bump during COVID as people are at home playing more games. And here is a little bit of a COVID fall off, right?
Right.
Everybody had all the gaming chips they needed, gaming systems they needed. So we had a little decline. And at this point, the stock had dropped, 50% or more. And then boom, we have the AI, boom that's happened. Now, NVIDIA, I think, is guided for revenues next quarter of 54, 55 billion, something like that,
Yeah.
right? So it's going to be way up here the next quarter. So this is what is possible as far as revenue opportunities with AI, right? And here's the same thing with profitability. I'm sorry, this is a little bit harder to see perhaps, but this dark green you can see has materially increased. It's gone from, maybe 10 billion peak before,
Yep.
and this latest quarter net income 86 billion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the crazy number. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think next quarter they're on track to have more profit than Apple.
Okay.
So truly the largest company in terms of profit, not just market cap, but profit.
So
And
profit.
speaking of market cap, here's the trajectory. Market cap essentially 4.4 trillion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, what's interesting to me is that there is no upper limit on the intelligence that we can use in this world,
Right.
right? And so it's going to be interesting to see then, how NVIDIA is able to capture that. Is 4.4 trillion just the beginning for NVIDIA? I guess is an open question in my mind.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if if the use of intelligence essentially is unlimited, then it's unlimited upside for NVIDIA. Now, what's happening with them though is the price of intelligence is coming way down very quickly,
Hmm.
right? So they might have 1,000x increase in demand for the number of chips over time, but they may only be able to charge 10% of the revenue at some point as to
Right.
what they're getting now, or even less. So that remains to be seen for them, just how much they can grow their business and earnings and market cap based on that. But it's the same concept happening here. We're capitalizing intelligence.
Yeah. What he would point out, I think what Wang would point out is that's where they've been making their money in this 2-year period has been capitalizing intelligence. But where they're going is they're going to be capitalizing the tools that
Mhm.
are come out of that intelligence uh, uh, as opposed to just the intelligence.
Yeah.
So what did he say, 80 or 90%, maybe more than that, of the future chips will be used for the tools as opposed to the
Yeah.
training.
Yeah. Again, in simplistic terms, I just think of the whole thing as intelligence,
Right, right,
right? Anything that is using AI. I mean, I guess you could argue that FSD is also intelligence.
right,
It's intelligence in how to drive.
right. But the inference side, the tool side, the inference side is where the rubber meets the road, you know, and
Yeah.
and so that's where many people believe that Tesla will, pass NVIDIA like a bolt out of the blue, as they start using the inference to generate massive amounts of wealth through cars and humanoids.
Yeah. That's right. And a nice segue to this image.
Okay.
Jensen, I'm not sure when this was taken. It may have been this morning, but it was posted today.
Okay.
Jensen with Brett Adcock of Figure and the Figure O2 robot. It's interesting that the robot is about the same height as Jensen.
Yeah, how about that? I wonder if that was planned. Yeah.
Maybe a smart move, right? Yeah. Um, you'd want Jensen to feel comfortable around the robot that you were making for sure, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and here he is handing off one of the latest, greatest NVIDIA products to Brett.
Yeah,
So uh, Jensen certainly recognizes the opportunity in robotics, and they're
100%.
really partnering and helping to fund many, many companies in that space. All right, this was kind of fun. So this guy hit a Tesla Model Y window with a hammer, but the glass was so strong, absolutely nothing happened. Unbelievable. So this is a video. I've got just a couple of shots, but I'm not sure why he was trying to break the window. It seemed to be approved by the people that were filming this. It was their car. Not sure if they'd locked themselves out or what the deal was. But he seemed to think that, they need to break the window. And of course,
Right.
he uses the hammer, and the hammer just bounces off the window.
Okay.
Captured very well here. And the guy is, shocked
Well,
that the glass break.
shouldn't Elon hire him for the next demo on, Cybertruck and or other vehicles? I mean,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. And I saw one time, I think a fireman with a big fire axe hitting a Cybertruck window.
yeah,
And normally with a regular car, it's one blow and the glass is broken.
yeah, yeah.
I think on the Cybertruck, it was maybe 10 or 11 blows before the
Wow,
glass broke.
wow.
But will break
I
with
see.
enough
Yeah,
attempts. But that firefighter got a workout.
yeah,
Yeah. This is kind of funny. This is a cover of Fortune magazine here on the left, BlackBerry versus iPhone, right? Whose side are you on? Which one's going to win? Right. It says smartphone giant Research in Motion is cleaning up in the consumer market, expanding globally, and plotting to out-app the iPhone. Well, we all know how that worked out.
yeah, yeah.
And now we have a similar cover, Waymo versus Tesla. Self-driving giant Waymo is cleaning up in the self-driving car market, expanding globally and plotting to out-app Tesla.
So this morning, I was again on the video early this morning. There was an article was pointing out that apparently Waymo is losing about $1.5 billion a year on their little effort. And I was trying to think, is there any possible way that Tesla is losing 1.5 billion a year on robotaxi? I don't think so.
Well, I mean, even if they are, you look at it as development cost.
I know, but I was trying to think, where would it be? I mean,
Yeah,
you're probably not taking, you've got your capital build out, but you're not taking the amortization on that yet. Uh,
yeah.
that'll be next year when they start selling them or using them.
And
But
it's
Cybertruck,
certainly costly, right? The amount of money they put into it,
right?
the people that they have.
The riders and all that,
Yeah, they've spent quite a bit of money.
right?
It's not going to take them that long to earn that money back, in my
Right,
opinion. And at
right.
some point, perhaps I'll put some numbers to that. But yeah, in Waymo's case, they're probably bleeding money.
And they're how many years into it? I mean,
It's been a while,
yeah.
much longer than Tesla. Yeah. All right, Randy, I was hoping you can tell me what this is.
I have no idea. I've looked at it. I mean, I guess it's a spoiler because it's a spoiler alert,
Yes.
but I couldn't make heads or tail out of why it's a teaser. So maybe you can help.
Well, a lot of people think it's the Roadster, and I hope for those
Oh,
long-suffering Roadster
yeah.
reservation holders, it is. But then why would it come from the Tesla Europe and Middle East
Middle
account?
East. Yeah, yeah,
That apparently there's supposed to be some kind of reveal tomorrow.
yeah.
Now, we were also told that the Australia announcement about FSD was going to come tomorrow, but you know what? It's already tomorrow in
Or,
Australia,
Australia. Yeah.
right? And so that makes sense. And so the question is, when does tomorrow come for the Middle East? A little earlier, I guess, than we would normally expect for us. So yeah, this will be interesting, I think, to find out what this is. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really know what it is. I'm sort of hoping it's the Roadster, but it doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the only thing about, Europe, not necessarily. I was thinking the Middle East, you've got an awful lot of people who probably are going to get a Roadster because
Yeah.
in some of Abu Dhabi and some of those places, you've got to have the hottest, latest car to even be, to be considered important.
It's nice to have a situation where money's no object,
Yeah, yeah,
particularly when it comes to, hypercars, sports cars, etc.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. I put the disclaimer in a strange place this time,
Well,
but there it is.
yeah, okay. You mean because it's late in the show?
Yeah.
And people might
Usually
have
it's up
already,
front.
and people might have already taken your advice early in the show, and now you're
I
going to
doubt that.
no, no.
Yeah. Um, Totally transitioning to something totally different. We're now on the topic of Bitcoin.
Okay.
This is kind of an interesting chart. It shows that as your time horizon grows, the risk of Bitcoin losses falls off dramatically, at least historically speaking. So If you are in Bitcoin for a day, there's like a 47% chance you lose money. If you own it for a week, there's a 44% chance you lose money. If you own it for a month, there's a 42% chance of losing money. If you own it for a quarter, there's about a third, 36% chance of losing money. If you own it for a year, there's about a 23.5% chance of losing money. If you own it for 3 years, 0.7% chance.
Point 0.7. Wow.
5 years, 0.02. 10 years, 0%. Bitcoin's never lost money over
Mm,
a 10-year period,
mm.
historically speaking. Knock on wood, past performance is no guarantee of future results,
Right, right, right.
right?
That's why you put the disclaimer there.
That's right. Um, this next chart is kind of shocking, and I haven't verified the math, but actually it wouldn't surprise me. If you bought Bitcoin instead of every new iPhone, you would have $242 million. So next time you go to buy the latest tech gadget, think about what could be.
Put the money into Bitcoin instead.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be having a significant increase in income around April of next year. So maybe, and my wife says she doesn't, once that income starts, she doesn't care what I invest in. So maybe starting in April or May of next year, I'll dabble a little more in Bitcoin. Yeah.
Yeah, I do recall that the iPhone 4, I think it costs something like over 2,800 Bitcoin.
I see.
So at current prices, you're looking at, yeah, that's $336 million. Actually, this number is low.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Okay. Yeah.
all
Very
right, let's finish off strong with some cartoons. So
okay.
always
All right.
good. Let's make fun of the Fed. They seem to be in the bullseye these days. We've got a unicorn talking to a wizard.
Yeah.
Wizard's got the central bank shirt on, and the unicorn says, "Yeah, they don't believe in me anymore either."
All right, sir. Well, as long as we're on that subject, so how important is central bank being independent to you, and what does independence mean?
Oh, I think if we think the central bank is independent, we're dreaming. Yeah, the whole central bank thing for me is unnecessary, kind of fishy, uh, may not really be in the best interest of the American public. Um,
So historically, you can make the argument that before the central bank, we had slightly more volatility, but it was short-lived and not very volatile. And since the Fed, when we have volatility, it's over many, many years and it's way more volatile.
yeah, I mean, I think comparing now to then is tough because we had a very different situation with our country back
Right,
then than
right.
we do now. Unfortunately, I think the central bank really hasn't evolved to where they really probably should be. I'd like to see them really not, have as little involvement as possible in the financial markets, and maybe just act as, some kind of safety and last resort kind of situation, right? Where there's a crisis, they step in.
Oh,
Otherwise, just stay away.
I see. Yeah, yeah, okay. So therefore, so you'd be looking for a really big reorganization of the Fed.
Yeah.
I was thinking if they would just go from 420 PhDs to no PhDs and four major business owners like Jensen, et cetera, part-timers, like Jensen, Elon, you could think of the four. And those four would just be kind of a big board that would come and meet once a quarter and set policy. And instead of 420 PhDs, be a lot less expensive and probably a better result.
Probably, although I wouldn't really wish that on Jensen or Elon for them to do that. I know we want Elon to work on everything. I don't really want him to unless he feels like he has to.
We're
Yeah.
talking about a couple of hours a month. They come
Well,
in and they meet,
yeah,
go home,
yeah. Um, the rate cuts are coming. The rate cuts are coming. And lastly, across 12 wealthy nations, median dissatisfaction with democracy jumped from 49% in 2017 to 64% in 2025. That's a 15-point rise and tied for the highest level of dissatisfaction ever recorded. Now, I don't know when the last level reached that, like when that was. They don't say here.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about that, Randy?
Oh man. So the president of the United States yesterday at a major cabinet meeting, out of all that 3 hours, the leftist press or the mainstream media managed to grab one headline that they thought was important. And I agree that the president was probably trying to be extremely provocative and loves to do these hyperbolic statements. And he goes, most people would like to have a dictator, and but I'm not a dictator. And I've looked at that I think since college, maybe even high school. And my answer is, yeah, most people would prefer if you ask them the question in a very neutral way where they didn't have to worry about anybody telling on them. And you said, what's important to you? Well, getting my paycheck on Friday, having a roof over, knowing I can pay my mortgage and feed my kids. The trains need to run on time, to use a famous statement from Nazi Germany. Most people would prefer that they would be in a situation where they could just count on everything working. And if that meant, and that's most likely under a benevolent dictator, having to take responsibility for even voting I mean, most people they don't take any time or energy to think about to study or evaluate what they do before they vote. And then they vote anyway. So, or maybe they don't. So anyway, yeah, I think the president was 100% right. And I think if there was a way to take that poll, we would find that, well, you just did. You just showed us the result. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's just dissatisfaction. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? How many dictatorships though have worked out well?
Yeah. Again, when they're benevolent, and there's a huge amount of writing about the idea of a benevolent dictator. The
Yeah,
problem is that the dictator may change from being benevolent himself or herself
yeah,
during the course of their dictatorship, and or the person who kills them and displaces them may not be as benevolent as they are. And I think there's an entire set of books in the Bible called Kings and Judges, which speaks to this very idea where there would be a benevolent leader for 40 years, and then they would have a not benevolent leader for the next 40. It's a hilarious read because you see these individuals who are under this leadership preferring kings to
mhm.
judges. And then they get their comeuppance by getting kings who commonly are not that helpful in their leadership.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. This whole challenge of governance is tough. You would wish that everybody would be as interested in it, so that you could just have direct democracy, right?
Right.
But the reality is that most people just don't really want to think about it, right? It's very hard to stay informed on all the important issues,
Yes.
even for the best of us. Um, yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. I think for me, this poll, the survey, sort of shows some of the risks I think that we're going to face as AI starts to remake everything, right? And we run the risk, I think, of somebody pointing a finger and saying it's them, right? And everybody goes after them, whatever them is,
Right.
right? It might be Elon, it might be something else, right? And that could be very dangerous in the middle of what could be a very positive transition if allowed to play out, right? Uh,
Yeah.
so that's the biggest thing that I worry about is we see an acceleration in AI deployment.
Yeah, no, it's again, I started my program this morning. It's so amazing how we're on the same kind of the same role here, is that I started my program this morning talking about where the economy is right now, where the stock market is right now. And in my 77 years, and if you take away the first 14 where I probably wasn't paying much attention, but by age 14, I was to the economy and to politics. So that's still a lot of years. In all of those years, I don't ever remember feeling that there was so much up in the air right now.
Mm.
But a president who has just completely, you know, thrown the entire world into chaos, and that's who he is. He's the chaos president, and he's throwing it into chaos with goals and with an understanding of what he thinks is going to happen. But you never know how sometimes those balls, because you got the judges and you've got other politicians and you got all these other forces, you got other countries. So there's a lot of forces that could throw off his best hopes and best expectations. Then you got people like Elon and Jensen who are changing the world with regard to robotics and with regard to AI, et cetera, et cetera. That's another set of changes that are hitting rapidly. And as Kathy Wood points out, those changes are now impacting at least 7 major disrupted industries,
Mhm.
which any one of or all 7 could change our life in dramatic ways in terms of our health, longevity, how much it costs us to eat or house ourselves. I mean, just completely change everything. And that's what our book is about. We explore a lot of that and what some of those changes might look like. But I think the market is saying, yeah, it looks really, really good in the future. But at least this week, I think it's been saying, but how much further can we go right now? We're topped out. We have, I guess, over 25 new all-time highs again this year. We're 9% up for the year after a 20% dip. Is it going to go up another 10% this year? Tom Lee and others say yes. But I think the market has taken a week off and said, what do you think?
Well, I think that right now we're, just before Labor Day, we're kind of at a very slow time of year as far as financial markets go. So I wouldn't place too much weight on what's happening on Wall Street right now.
Mhm.
Once people start to work again after Labor Day, then I think we start to see really what the market thinks of things.
Right.
I would say that at first. Um, no doubt there's a massive cross current happening here, right? We've got some companies like NVIDIA that are winning in an extreme way. And the amount of value that they're creating by capitalizing intelligence is absolutely enormous. And I think they've just gotten started, right? And as I wrote in my piece, every robot that Tesla deploys could be $1 million to Tesla's market cap
Right.
with one robot,
Right. It's crazy.
right? So, you put 100 million of them into the fleet, which is, again, not a big number,
Right.
and you're at $100 trillion. So to me, there's a bias on the upside to the stock market. In the short term, yeah, we're going to bounce around. We're going to have all kinds of volatility. This could be a very volatile time for the market. But for me, that underlying trend of capitalizing intelligence, capitalizing labor, right? I mean, this is labor too. We have a lot of unpaid driving time. Whenever
Yes.
you and I drive our cars, it's
Right.
unpaid time.
Right.
Even for truck drivers, yeah, we pay them, but that payment is not capitalized. So
Mhm.
robotaxi, robotrucking, all that gets capitalized. We start to add onto the market value of companies. That is to me, an upward bias to the stock market that'll play out over, 5, 10 years. But underneath all that, there may be a lot of disruption.
Yes.
Although, as I wrote in my piece yesterday, I do think that the companies that are deploying these robots and deploying robotaxi and robotrucking also benefit because they're saving a significant amount of money.
Right. Right. Right.
Right? And consumers benefit too. You've
Right.
just taken a layer of cost out of the system.
Right. Hmm.
So even early on, this has potentially a big positive impact on things. So even though in our minds we have all this anxiety about how the stuff's going to play out, I think sort of fundamentally at the ground level, you start to see it in the results, and it's kind of you can't ignore it. Companies are going to be making more money, right? And you can have companies like NVIDIA, and then eventually Tesla will have its NVIDIA moment where those revenue streams really start to take off.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that'll be another great example of what's possible.
Right, right, right. Okay, well, there you go. There's a little more introduction to what you're going to get in the book, which hopefully will be out about October 1st. We'll start having pre-sales hopefully middle of September. Everything goes well in the next couple of weeks. And so we will be talking about uh, potential, a potential of what that's going to look like in the future, as well as what it might look like in the in-between as the disruption is actually taking place. And of course, CERN has chapter one. I mean, CERN once again, leading the pack.
It was an easy one because, I didn't have to stick my neck out too far to make predictions. That came later in the book. So people are going to hold you to account more than me. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say that of all the chapters that have the potential for predictions, two of mine will have most of the predictions. Yeah.
So I wish you well, Randy, on that.
Thank you, thank you. Well, some of them, at least, I make so many of them, you know, the odds get better and better.
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the key about making predictions is make many of them and hope people forget about the ones you don't get right.
there you go. Well, I'm looking right now just for fun. Not Tesla's still down today, but last Sunday morning I said it's just up and to the right from now on. So I said there'll be days. So today it's down a percent as of 11 o'clock California time. So with 2 hours to go, it's down a percent. But tomorrow it could finish the week strong, and we got Monday off, and who knows what happens in September. As always, CERN, phenomenal to have you on board. Glad you brought your robots with you. And we'll be looking forward to a future. That's for sure.
Yes,
Fiction.
definitely looking forward to a future. Yes.
Okay. For all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.